friends, welcome to Stories in Stitches. I'm Jada, and today we are working on the final installment of the Happy Farm Sewing Kit. At least the last thing that comes in the kit. Still have a couple of ideas of ways to sort of have a little more extended fun with this project, but we'll get to that in another stream. Today, however, we are working on the last one. It's the barn, which I realized in the last stream actually also comes with a fence. I didn't see that before. It's amazing how much you can look at something and still not really see it. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got a pair of scissors. So the kit comes with scissors, but I think your own scissors will be better in this case because the kit scissors are they're child friendly, so they're not really sharp. I've got a trusty glue gun so that I can glue on anything that might require gluing. There are no eyeballs to add to the barn, so I may not need this at all, but you know, we'll see. I have a bowl of emergency craft supplies in case I feel like embellishing the barn or something. I don't know if I'm going to add anything to the barn because the barn is so cute. But most importantly, I've got a cup of coffee. I have you guys, and I've got a rainy Sunday stretching out ahead of me in which I can do some crafting with some like-minded crafty people. So here we go. I also have Penny here who's trying to get me to come sit on the couch, but unfortunately we won't be doing that. Do you want to get up on my lap? No? That's her little tail wagging. It's so cute. All right, here we are down on the table. We have got ourselves all of the things that we've made thus far, because I just sort of like to have them here for reference. It's also handy to have them for size reference. We did the trees in the last stream. So I turned my two trees into an oak and an apple tree, because that's kind of what they said to me. And here's the kit. So let's get into it again. Somehow, after all of these little kits, I still have some leftover stuffing, which I may or may not put in the barn. I'm not sure. We've got the little package of eyeballs. So obviously the barn doesn't need eyeballs, but I had two left over, which I think is kind of nice. You have extra eyeballs. There's all of this leftover embroidery floss still. I just can't believe how much embroidery floss there is. I'm definitely going to need a needle, so I'm going to get that out. And I'm probably going to need, let's get the white yarn and the red yarn. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need those, so I'm going to get those out. If I need anything else, I will reach back into that. And of course, the actual barn. I just love these. I've been enjoying opening up these packages so much. They all have this cute little instruction manual and all the little bits and bobs, and I also like to take a photograph. So just before I totally get going here, I'm going to take a photograph because I've been kind of enjoying that. It's like having for posterity's sake, I guess. Let me get this sort of set up here and you guys can watch me take a photograph. Let's see, I gotta make sure I have a little card in the old digital camera. And there we go. Turn it on. Remove camera lens. It's a good thing it tells me to do that, otherwise I'd probably wonder why it all was black. And let's get a nice photograph of that. Maybe I should use my other hand. Okay, and then maybe one more. That'll do, that'll do, that'll do just fine. Okay, so there is the photograph taken, the obligatory photograph, because I also like to remember how these things look when they first arrived in the package. I'm not sure if I'm going to be scrapbooking this little collage, mostly because I think the little instruction books that they come with, the little photograph, is just so cute. I don't really want to throw it out. I kind of want to save it for some reason, so that could just be the craft hoarder in me, and it also could just be that they're really cute and I kind of want to create like a little scrapbook around it. I don't know. Still kind of deciding what to do about that. Quick hello to some of our community here hanging out with us. Becky. Hi, Becky. And Charlie. Hello, hello. Charlie says they are due to have thunderstorms this afternoon. We are supposed to get a tremendous amount of rain ourselves. So it looks like it just started before the stream got going. So we'll see how much that turns into. But you know what? It doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to have rain if I'm just going to stay in and craft. Okay, so let's get the gang back in here. Give myself a little bit of space to work, and let's get into this little package. Get that out of the way. There's our little booklet, and so this is a barn and a fence. So I'm pretty sure these are the little fence posts. These are the fence rails, and I'm going to make the fence second. And then these are all the parts of the barn. So let's make sure we are dealing with the right things. Okay, so front, back. Oh, okay. So we actually sew. Oh, gee, that's nice. So there's 3 front and 3 back of the little posts, and they're going to stitch themselves. And then there's a 1 and a 2. Looks like 1 and 2. Oh, there, of course, the top and the bottom rails. All right, so I'm going to worry about that second. We've got a front and a back piece for the barn. So the front piece has all of the holes cut in it because that's where we put all of the fancy details, and the back is plain. So the back just gets stitched onto it. And it looks like all of the front pieces get stitched to the front. So we might be doing that first. There are, in addition to the front and the back, this piece, and this piece. So 3, 4, and 5. All right, looks like I've got everything. Scissors, a little bit of stuffing off to the side, my needle, and red and white floss. We are good. Now, they start with the fence, but I want to do that last. So I'm going to jump straight to the barn. And it looks like they want you to stitch the details to the front of the barn first, so I will happily oblige that. Oh, that's interesting. There's extra holes here, so if I line these up, there's extra holes, and it looks like they're showing use the red yarns to sew details. You know what? I think this is a nice opportunity to do a little bit of embellishing. If this is supposed to look like barn boards, like if these are supposed to be, hi Shell, how's it going? Got Jade on the big screen. Well, I hope for your sake that my face doesn't absolutely overwhelm the television, and you know, you don't have me on like super 4K because I don't want to look like I'm a crypt keeper. I was just gonna say, it looks like, so there's these extra holes along each side of the barn, and that's not for sewing anything onto it. I think the idea is that it's supposed to be a place where you sew in with yarn to create like a highlight to make it look like barn board. That's what I'm guessing. So I feel like this might be a nice opportunity to use a different colored yarn, because this red is pretty darn close to the barn and it's going to blend in, which makes it nice for stitching the whole thing together. But I think if we want to make it look like there's barn board detailing, that should be like a darker red or a brown, maybe even a black. I don't think that's a bad idea. So I think I'm going to hold off putting the red stitching there, and I'm going to do a different color because it looks like that's what it's supposed to be, barn board detail. Anyway, I'm going to sew down the hayloft and the barn door first. And to that end, I need white. Let's see if I have any leftover white. I do. Or is that white or pink? That's pink. Is that white? Yes. Nope, that's pink too. I have a lot of pink. Pink, pink, pink. Oh, it's because I have light and dark pink. That's why. Let's just cut ourselves some fresh white, shall we? Fresh white. I'm going to do about a yard-ish because there's 3 different pieces to sew down to the barn in white, and then there's the fence rails and the posts, which are white as well. So I'm going to need a lot of white today. So I'm going to get ready to go there. And let's go back down to the table. Okay, so I'm going to get my scissors out of the road. And this can all stay here. I'm going to put my instructions up on top. I think I'm going to do the barn door first. So I want to make sure that this aligns. It should. It looks like it's mirror image, so it shouldn't matter whether I've got it up or down. And because the back is going to be sewn to the barn, I don't have to do any fancy knotting. I can just start my yarn in one corner, sew all the way around, and then knot the ends on the back. So it looks like if I go all the way around, wait, there's a trick to this. If I do this and this and this, no. This, 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 this. It's one of those puzzle equations. If I don't want to, like, if I want to do it all in one running stitch, if I go up and then down and then here and then here, up, across, down, nope, up, down, that lets me go this way. And then, I'm still going to end up with a side left. I go all the way around and then up, I still have to do this. If I go up, down, across, I'm still left with a side. Does anybody know this trick? I feel like that's a Professor Layton puzzle. In the meantime, I'm just going to start stitching. I'm going to go all the way up the short side. And if any of you can figure this out before I get up to the top, let me know. Let's see if I can keep my yarn, my thread from grabbing everything. This reminds me of this is going to sound funny, of my nursery. I had a red and white nursery. Everything was red or white. Red and white, red or white, and really, really vibrant red. So this would have fit in nicely in the little nursery I had. All right, I'm up into the top corner. Do I go like this? And then like this? It still leaves me with that. If I go up and over here, no matter how I do it, I'm left with a line. So Charlie says, I did the cross first, then the frame because the back will be covered. So if she did the cross first, you're fastening off. You know what? I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to come down here and go, I'm going to do it the long way. I'm still going to end up with one bar, but that's about as close as I can get to like finishing it. Hi, Crochet Girly. All right, so I'm going to go down now this way because I think I like those long lines. Like it's going to have a nice long line from the top. Because I noticed on the picture they only show the cross and then they show the square being done separately. But if I do this, I kind of like the long line. I like using the same holes a couple times, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this because I feel like it would make it a little more unique. Plus, I like only having to knot off like once or twice. So I'm going to go this way. And then I'm going to go this way. I think I like the big long corner stitches. Question is, oh yeah, I can get it. I can still get it. I will use this hole up here, the end hole, a couple times. So I'm going to come back up through here. Let's get on my, and then I'll do this. Because I like this long line here. And then I'll go all the way around this side. So any of you, I think Becky, you said you got finished. I haven't had a chance to fully look at everything yet. It's been kind of a busy few days. Charlie's done hers. So did you guys add any embellishments to your barns? Because I am considering a little hay in the hayloft. Not sure. So I'm going to go, I like from the corner. So I'll finish off that one from the other way. So Charlie did not add any embellishments. You know, I mean, not that it needs it. It really doesn't. The barn is just so stinking cute on its own. But I can't help but think of, like, it also looks neat and tidy, and it also looks like the hayloft door is closed, so it would make sense to not have anything spilling out of the hayloft. I also, oh my gosh, I just had an idea. This barn needs a barn quilt. I'm going to put a barn quilt up there. Okay, ha! What's everybody's favorite quilt block patterns? Becky said, I did. I put an owl on the loft and a guitar on the side. Oh my gosh! Well, I can't wait to see that. Okay, so this, I'm still going to have to angle back. So I want the long... Good morning, Ms. Rabbit. Hello. Grocery Girly likes the idea of the barn quilt. Okay, so do I. Let's talk about quilt blocks. So there's obviously all the super the what's the word I'm looking for? The really common ones, the stash-ish barn blocks, the stat-ish barn blocks. Dresden plate quilt, yes, I love that one. Statish barn blocks. Okay, again, not having a stroke. Shell's trying to make me sound like I'm having a stroke. Statish barn blocks. Stat-ish. Stash-ish. So I love flying geese. I love the pinwheel. I love, I'm trying to think of like the really classic, geometric, relatively easy to stitch up ones. Not that I'm going to do any sewing necessarily. I'm going to make it out of felt. So I just have to do the top line. So I will tie a little knot back here on the back underneath one of these little stitches. Yeah, so I'm thinking like, maybe the pinwheel? I mean, it's a classic. There we go. I think that's probably going to stay put. I'm just going to make this into a little knot back here. So I'm just going to loop that under that little tiny tail. If I can. Pretty small stuff. That's enough. Oh, no, wait, I can do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. All right, tied a knot. So both my little ends are knotted off, and now I'm just going to stitch along that side there. So here's the thing. If I do this, I can use it as the frame and put the little mini barn quilt in the middle, which I think I'm going to do. Star-ish, the star-ish barn blocks. Star. Okay, I think, no, Shell, I still, there's a ton of stars. So is there a specific star? Because a star would be good. I think it might be easy to cut like squares and then split them and make like that pinwheel effect, because it's going to be pretty small, right? A sampler quilt. I like that. Not made any quilts, so I know nothing, says Charlie. Charlie, if you ever want to go down a pretty rabbit hole, even if you don't quilt much, but you like the idea of drawing or knitting or crocheting them, we did an entire calendar blanket on crochet versions of quilt blocks because I love patchwork. I haven't made too many quilts. I've made 2 quilts, but I've made a ton of patchwork because I love patchwork. Because this is so small, I'm thinking that a little miniature pinwheel in really pretty colors would look really good in there. And then that can be the frame. So instead of it being like the hayloft, it'll be the frame on the barn quilt. I think I'm going to do that. All right. I mean, it's got to have a barn. It's got to have a barn quilt. How cute would that be? So I'm going to just stitch across the top here, and maybe I'll knot this on the back just so I don't have to come back and do it. So I'm just going to knot this up. Charlie's right. I mean, this isn't going to show because the back of the barn's going on, so it doesn't matter how messy it is. Either way, any way you do this, any way you sew down, you're going to end up with ends that are too far apart. So, all right. So I'm just going to quickly zip across the top now. You're welcome, Charlie. Yeah, so if you want to look at it, just go on Pinterest or Google quilt block designs or patchwork block designs. Or if you really want your mind blown, paper piecing, which I haven't tried yet, would love to. But I don't like the idea of stitching through paper. I don't like the idea of dulling my needles. So I might try some hand paper piecing. I'm not sure. I have to find time to do that. Literally in your top 2 favorite calendar blankets. The other one is the Victoria Stitch Sampler. This is going to be a third now. I love the Victoria. I love them all. I've enjoyed them all. They've all been really fun to make. It's fun to learn a new technique. It's fun to have a whole year to relax and enjoy doing it. All right, so that is the top of my barn door stitched down. Looks nice and neat. Okay. So I'm going to do, much like I've done with some of the other felt embellishments in this project, I'm going to do all of the required sewing, sew down all the pieces, and because I'm going to treat this like the frame, I'm going to sew it down, and then I'm going to cut all the little felt pieces to fit, And I'm just gonna glue them in to the inside the frame to the back of the barn, and just sort of like tuck them down. So add a little glue, tuck them into place, and they should fit inside of the frame nicely. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna play a little bit of embroidery floss chicken. This is a square, so I can at least go all the way around and knot my ends together. I'm probably gonna need to add in some more embroidery floss, but that's fine. I'll just knot it on the back. The back can be a mess, doesn't matter. And this way I won't have a ton of little floss scraps floating around. The last thing I need are more small scraps of things. I have small scraps of yarn, I have small scraps of fabric. I don't need small scraps of embroidery floss too. I even have small scraps of thread. I keep those as well. So, all right, let's go back down to the table for a smidge, just see what's going on down there. It's a little easier for me to hold my arms down and you guys can see what I'm doing a little better. I know this isn't exactly rocket science. And if you've already made yours, then it's done. But now I'm excited about the little quilt. I think I could even sketch it out quickly. Definitely going to run out of embroidery floss, but that's okay. I've got to cut more for the fence posts anyway. Oh, plus the rooftop. All right, this is starting to get gnarly. So have to rewind that. There we go. So let's see if I can keep this knot to the back. Yes, that will work just fine. And since I have this little bit of slack here, I'm going to run my needle underneath it before I do my next stitch, and that will tighten it up. So that just adds a little bit of tension. So that'll keep these stitches from getting loose or sort of pulling back out. So I had a little bit of extra slack there because of where my knot wound up. So I finished stitching, ran my needle underneath the slack, and then went into the next stitch, and that's made it nice and snug. So if you ever find yourself in a situation like that, especially when you've got like you're sewing something and the back doesn't matter, that's a nice way to just take care of the little bit of slack. So there's your knot, a little bit of slack, hook your needle through it, and then continue sewing further up, and it'll pull up on the slack. Nice and tidy. Shell says there's a barn quilt on the way up to Horseshoe Valley, and it's got a star in the middle, but it might be more than 5 points. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's so many stars, and there's so many good stars. I think I'm gonna go with the pinwheel. I know it's simple, but it's effective, and in such a small space, I think it'll be pretty easy to do. So that's what we're gonna do. Or at least that's what I'm gonna do. If you want to add a barn quilt to your barn, you're more than welcome to try any different style you can possibly think of. But I think in such a small space, the simpler the better. So there we go. So I've got my door on, I've got my hayloft on, and the hayloft is about to become the frame for a barn quilt. All right, what's next? Next. Put 5 between the front and the back. Oh, okay. Five between the front and the back. So I don't need this white right now. I can switch back to red to do. So now I'm just sewing all the way around the barn. Oh wait, but I haven't done these lines yet. I want to do these lines in a darker color. So let's see if I've got, before I go dig out the rest of my embroidery floss, I've got gray. That might be interesting. I've got black. And if you want to see how this looks, let's see if I have any, it's purple. I don't want purple. So let's just see how this looks. I'm considering, I'm thinking maybe like a darker red, a burgundy, a brown, you know. But just so, you know, we get an idea. The gray is very nice. Oh, hi, Karen. How's it going? Mr. InStitches is in the house. Karen's here. Hi, Karen. I've been missing out. No, you haven't. We just sort of got things going again. It's been a while since we were doing a lot on this channel. We sort of took like a few year hiatus. We were very busy with the other channel, obviously. But there are so many crafts and so little time. So if I don't make time to do the craft and have fun with the kit and all of the craft supplies I've been amalgamating for the last 40 years, I may not get to use them because time fritters away. So if I make time, and that is sort of incorporated into, you know what, if I sit down and make the time and I kind of broadcast that I'm making the time, then maybe other people will think, yeah, I've got the time to sit down and you know, work on something, even if it's not important, a chore, a craft, whatever. It's a nice little way to sort of sit down and spend a bit of time with the like-minded crafty folk. And if you do have craft kits or crafts, or you want to even try making whatever it is I'm up to along with me, then it's kind of like it forces you to sit down and spend like an hour or so with yourself. Because I think we have a tendency to not do that. As adults, we tend to find ourselves with a free hour or two and think, I should be doing something. I should be doing something productive. I know that is constantly rattling around in my brain. And while sometimes that serves me, you know, I think, you know what, yeah, I'll get up, I'll do a little meal prep, I'll clean something, I'll wash a bathroom, whatever. Sometimes you got to have a break. You really need to force yourself to just stop and relax and, you know, just do something kind of fun, because it's good for your different muscles to try something different. It's also just good for your brain. So, you know, and it's also a nice excuse to have a cup of coffee and not let it go cold. Okay, I'm liking the gray, so I'm going to hold this up. So that's what the gray looks like. Obviously, I'm going to do the in and out stitching, but I just for the sake of getting an idea of how it looks, I like the gray I'm going to use it as a detail shading shadow, just to kind of insinuate the idea that there's barn board. So the gray, not bad. Let's try the black and see what the black looks like. That will be a very distinct, it might make it look a little cartoony, but then that might actually look kind of cool on this because it's already kind of cartoony. So let me just get this through here. There we go. Okay, so that's what the black looks like. So obviously it's a lot more distinct than the gray. The gray is a lot more subtle, so I kind of like the gray maybe more than the black. The black might just be a little too much. Destiny, hello party people. Hello Destiny. She also didn't know this channel existed. Well, welcome, welcome. I wanted to make sure that the family on the primary InStitches channel knew about it. So we're going to try and make sure that whenever I don't have a particular schedule here, excuse me, I don't have a particular schedule. So if I find I have the time, then I set up the stream, usually about a half an hour before we go live. And then I will now, from here on out, just put a quick notification over on the Jada InStitches community tab for our family members, our channel members, that I'm about to go live on the sister channel, and I'll always have the link because it's a different channel. It's not like sniffing around inside the Jada InStitches channel. It's a different channel. So it's connected, but it's a different channel. I mean, you guys have been on YouTube for more than a minute, so you know exactly how this works. But I'll be making sure I notify the channel members in case you want to hang out, because, you know, sometimes like we really do, I am trying to kind of just stream when I have the time. Sometimes that's an evening on a weekday, sometimes that's on a weekend, could be in the morning, could be in the afternoon, which I also think is kind of good for you guys, because I know we don't all live in the same place, we don't all have the same schedules. So if you want to just have a little bit of time live and put your feet up and hang out with everybody else who can make it, ta-da, this is one more little opportunity to do that. And it's fun to try out different crafts. So we've been working away on the Happy Farm sewing kit, which I got a couple summers ago now, and I've just been loving it. It's so adorable, and it was the only reason I actually managed to get into it is because we decided we would spend some time over here. So. Okay, so gray, I don't mind. I think I'm gonna grab my other bag of embroidery floss though. Just in case there's a better, like a mulberry or a different color that's like kind of red but not too bright. I'm just thinking that it might be better than the gray. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Let's get that out of the way, and the same color. That's a kind of a purpley pink. Do I not have any brown? I don't think I've got any brown. At least not, oh, yes I do. I do have brown. Okay, so I have brown and I have mulberry. So let's try both of those. So far I like the gray better than the black, and once again it's to sort of just do this little detailing through here and on either side of the door. So let's look at brown, and then we'll look at the mulberry, which I'm already thinking is a no because it's too purple and this red is too orange. So I like the brown. I think this is too purple and this barn red is too orange. So if the barn red was a little more on the purple side, like if the barn was if it was a cooler red, it would probably go better with this, but this is a hotter red because it tends more to the yellow orange. So I don't think this is the right color. So the brown, and I'll put the gray along on the other side, and we can decide which you like better, whether it's going to be the brown or the gray. I guess, gray kind of makes me think of weathered barn board, and the brown is just it's a nice detail. It's just not as dark as the black. So see you later, girly. Thanks so much for hanging out for a little bit. Gray looks fine against the red, says Charlie. I think so too. I like the gray because it's not quite white, but I like the brown because it's not quite black. Does that make me a fence sitter? I'm gonna try and sneak in as many barn and farmyard puns as I can today. Gray or brown? I kind of like, I think I like the brown. Is that just me? I feel like every time I kind of go, oh, I think I like this, it's like everybody else likes the other one. I mean, tell you what, I'll make a quick poll. I think I can do that. Yes, poll. So let's go gray, detailing, or brown detailing. There we go. All right, so I've just posted a poll. It'll be up top. Please vote. So whether you like the gray or the brown for the detailing, and once again, there it is. So there's the gray, there's the brown. I like both, so whichever wins, I'll go with. Not a big deal to me. I'll let that sit there for a few minutes, and in the meantime, because I have to do that next, I think I'm done with the red, so I'm going to put the red away. I'm not quite done yet with the white because I've got to do the fence, but I will rewind my, there we go. Oh, and I can also pick out some colors for my barn quilt, which means I need to plug in my trusty glue gun. So I will also do that while you guys are picking a color. All right. Glue gun is plugged in. Coffee is still warm. More detail. Okay, I just love this. So Shell says, okay, whoa. We've got gray looks fine according to Charlie. Becky thinks she likes the brown. Jessica likes the darker, which could, I guess you mean brown. Go have a cup of coffee, Jess. Shell likes the gray to mimic the white. Yeah, I like that too. It kind of looks like it used to be white and now it's aged a bit. Destiny likes the brown. Mr. InStitches voted. Thank you. Destiny likes the brown. Hey, Victoria. Victoria's here. Jada's so exciting. New channel, so creative. Crafting, baby. If you love one, you tend to love them all, or at least love a whole lot of them. And it's our little space to hang out and do a little more stitching that isn't necessarily crochet. Victoria likes the brown. Okay, so looks like so far brown is winning. And we've had 9 votes. That's pretty close. We've got a handful more people watching. So Mr. InStitches voted. That's good. Usually he's my tiebreaker. Brown looks like it's winning. So maybe another 30 seconds and I will decide. In the meantime, the pinwheel. I should probably also draw this out. Didn't realize I was going to need so many extra craft supplies today. Okay, let me grab my sketchbook. And got all these little bits and pieces falling out. Wow! There we go. I've got other things. I always have little loose papers. Okay, so I want these. And all right, 64% for brown. Okay, brown it is in the meantime. So I'm going to end this poll and I'm going to use brown to do the detailing. Thank you guys, really appreciate it. Now, let me see here. I'm going to get a fresh sketch and I'm going to sketch out quickly. So let me take you back down to the table so you can sort of see what I'm doing. I'm going to sketch out some basic ideas. So once again, this is the, you know what, I can probably show you better on the actual barn at this point. So it's going to go in here, my little barn quilt. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. And let's design a few while we're at it. So nice messy squares. So the first thing I'm thinking of is one that looks like this, another one that looks like this, that would be fine. Oh, and of course my absolute favorite, not necessarily that it would look super eye-catching, but okay, so this is what I'm thinking. You've got your, so this one would be, say, blue. And maybe this one is blue, and then let's say, I'll just do this like whatever. And then let's say this one is green. Oh, these markers are really old, but you get the idea. And let's say this one. Do this. This might be it for these markers. And something like this. All right, so just you get the idea. So we've got kind of like your four triangles, your hourglass. Like there's a lot of things, different ways that you can call that. That's your pinwheel. So you have four squares and they're all split on the diagonal, and they all kind of looks like, if, depending on how you color it, it looks like a spinning pinwheel. Really like that one. 4 square basic, 9 patch basic. Oh no, new markers, says Jessica Rabbit. I know, right? I got these. I got this pack of little colored markers at the dollar store. No joke, like 15 years ago, and I use them every day. So not everything is garbage at the dollar store. Kind of like all of them. So I'm gonna call this. This would be the 4 triangles, pinwheel, 4 square, 9 patch. So let's do another poll. I'm gonna let you guys pick that while I start doing my. While I start stitching in my little detailed areas. So here we go. The first one is the 4 triangles. Then you've got the pinwheel. Then we've got the 4 square. Helps if I can spell it right. 4 square. And the 9 patch. Absolutely love all of them. I think they'd all look really cute in here. So you guys get to pick which one you want. And in the meantime, I will start stitching. So let's see here. We opted for brown. Brown won the detailing. I'm going to do my, so I'm going to pull out some brown. And I probably don't need a whole lot, but all right, let me make sure that it's getting kind of full here on the craft table. It's just the way I like it, but let's make sure that nothing gets glued to anything that shouldn't be glued to anything. simplified basket block would fit the theme, says Jessica Rabbit. I like that too. Steampunk Gamer, hello! Welcome to Live. Welcome, welcome. All right, so I'm gonna stitch up my little edgings. So I guess these are just, let me keep that out of the way. You guys can decide. Again, 4 triangle, pinwheel, 4 square, 9 patch. I think all 4 of these, we've got crochet patterns on the other channel for too, because they were all part of the patchwork calendar blanket. Man, I loved that one. I still have every one of those squares in bright colors, not assembled. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do with them all. Becky likes the pinwheel. I like the pinwheel too. I like them all. They're all very, oh, look at this. Not quite a perfect number. Not a big deal. Guess I should have tied that into a knot. I'll just jump across and do this one. Hey Christine, how's it going? Just got here, what's the question? So these 4 little patchwork squares, I'm going to recreate as a barn quilt to fit into this little square. This is the hayloft, but I'm going to make it the frame of a barn quilt. I think that would be way cuter. I've got felt. I can use any colors I want. We'll talk colors in a minute. This is just a rough idea to give you an idea of what they all look like. So there's the 4 triangles, the pinwheel, the 4 square, and the 9 patch are the 4 easiest-ish blocks that I thought might look sort of stand out the most up in here. It's a small spot, but you know. So I have that up as a pole. So you go ahead and pick the one you think would look the best in here, and then that's the one I'm going to try and do. The 9 patch is much more involved. My choice, says Charlie. The 9 patch would be very small, but it's just squares, so it actually wouldn't be as difficult as, say, one of these ones. Not that I'm shying away from a little bit of extra cutting, because it's really just going, you know, cutting a perfect square and then cutting it through the diagonal. So I'm not shying away from any of it. This one would definitely be better for the super tiny felt scraps that show up in my felt collection. But any one of them, I mean any one. We're dealing with pretty small pieces right now, so I think they would all look really cute. I think I'm going to tie this one off. I don't want to go all the way across the back. So let's just make a little knot here. And I will do that. And then I'm going to come, you know what, let me just quickly crochet hook. Oops. May not have left myself enough slack here. That'll be fine. All right, so let's go down here. And I think I will knot, should I knot this? Oh, I guess I can knot it together on the back. I'm such an idiot. I should have done this right from the beginning. There we go. Shell sent me a picture of the picture type you meant. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I might be able to see it. Hang on. I do have the shop open. Victoria likes the 4-patch, but the pinwheel is cute. I mean, they're all pretty cute. I think. I mean, that's why I kind of picked them. All right, I'm just gonna pop in here. Here's Shell. I'm still getting used to this streaming equipment, so at some point I might be able to even immediately share photographs, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Okay, yeah, that is a, what is that, an 8-point star? And then it's got like the star. That's gorgeous. And that would look amazing on the big scale. Definitely couldn't do that on the little scale. I like that. The one you see is a less complicated version of that one. Okay, cool, 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 cool. There's just so many. Oh my gosh. I mean, and my, that's another rabbit hole you can go down. It's the, barn quilts. How to paint a barn quilt on YouTube. Had to think about that. So yeah, you can check that out too. And you know what? You don't have to make them to sit on a barn. I'm going to be painting one for my little shed sometime this year. I've got really big canvases behind me. I've got 2 of them. They're like 2 feet by 2 feet. And I'm going to do at least one. My plan was to do 2, but I might just do 1 now for the side of it. But they don't have to be enormous. Barn quilts don't have to be huge. They can be, I've seen a lot of people like to make them for like fall decorating. Just little ones, like 1 foot by 1 foot or 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. You can find sometimes square, at secondhand stores, you can find square canvases, square paintings, square framed things, and you can just sort of, for $2, take those and then just repaint on the inside or like frame out wood. There's like a million ways to do it, and they're so, so cute. And there's so many different ways, like so many different designs. And you can make them to fit your color scheme, and you can sort of decorate. You can make them like, that's the thing I like about pictures and stuff, because you can hang them up or set them on the mantle or wherever you like to kind of place a photo or a painting. And then you can take it down and put it in a closet and swap it out with another one, depending on the theme. You know, maybe you've got Christmas stuff you want to put up, or Easter stuff, or spring, or, you know, fall, winter, whatever. Let me check on the chat here. Destiny says, Jada, is this part of a kit? Yes! If so, where did you obtain the kit from? Link is in the description box, Victoria. Not supported, or whatever is that called? Word sponsored, not sponsored. It's called the Happy Farm Kit. It's not an affiliate link, but it is on Amazon, and it's the Canadian link, but it should get you to at least this thing. And the last time I was looking at it a couple days ago, it was actually on sale. It's called the Happy Farm Sewing Kit. I got it a couple years ago, but it's still on Amazon, and a handful of us have actually went and got it since then. It's got like 10 animals, well, basically everything you see here. 10 animals, the trees, and the barn, and we've made them all. The barn is the last one, so like that's the turkey. They're all pretty big. It's hilarious. It's fun. It's a kid's kit, but I'm a big kid. I also think it's fun for parties. It's fun for sitting around and doing something like this. It's great for your larger motor, like larger small muscle motor skills. So it's still small muscle skills, but it's larger. It's not like super tiny work like you would with a little needle or even with crochet hooks. So it's good to sort of exercise your other muscles. It's a nice palette cleanser if you're just always crafting something or crocheting something or doing the same sort of hobby over and over again. And I've also said like 100 times that if you know older people, like much older people who struggle to, you know, use their fine motor skills but still want to be creative, this is awesome. Sit down and make a few of these with them because they're fun, they're cute, they're fast, the instructions are great. It's just all around such a nice, and it comes with literally everything. The only thing it doesn't have, even has scissors and the plastic sewing needles. The only thing it doesn't have is like glue, and that's all you need to like glue on the eyeballs. So cannot recommend it enough. For like $15 Canadian or whatever it is American right now, so worth it. So worth it. Okay, I've done the stitching with the brown. I think the brown was the right choice. Okay, so we've got no idiots, only crafty Jada. It's adorable. I'm definitely a kid at heart. Thank you. You're welcome, Destiny. Yeah, I'm a kid at heart, but I mean, like, I don't think, like I said, there's so many great ways that you could use this kit. And in particular, I love having stuff to do at get-togethers, parties, you know, like if you're having if you're having any kind of get-together and there's kids coming, having something like this around keeps them busy. Even keeps the teenagers busy. Like, who wouldn't want to sit down and just do one of these? It's like something to keep your hands busy, you know? So I think the brown was absolutely the right choice, gang. I love that. It looks fantastic. I will now stitch together the rest of the barn while we're still deciding on the patchwork. Actually, it looks like the pinwheel may have won. Let me see here. Christine says the eyeballs peel and stick on. You know what? I don't think mine did. So you may have gotten different eyeballs than me, Christine. My eyeballs were not peel and stick. They are definitely just like typical, yeah, like mine were not peel and stick. Some of them might be, but I definitely did not get peel and stick eyeballs, which is fine because I think I read a review on, I think some kits might go out with peel and stick and other ones don't. Mine are definitely not. But I did remember reading some reviews where someone said that the peel and stick didn't work. Then they kind of came off after a while, so they recommended using some glue too. It's not a big deal. I would just rather make sure that they were not going anywhere. Okay, so pinwheel has definitely won. We've got almost a dozen votes. Pinwheel has 70% of the vote, so we're going to go with the pinwheel design. So that is that. Now, while I'm stitching the rest of the barn together, we're going to decide on colors. So I think I'm going to stick to a 2-color pinwheel system, kind of like the one I had drawn here. Let's pick colors. I've got all kinds of colors. I think in this case, opposites would really look nice. So let's go pink and blue. I can even like sort of sketch these out for you if you want to see them, but let's say pink and blue. Yellow and green is a nice one. Purple and white, maybe? Wait, what would look good on this barn? Pink and blue. I want to stay away from red because we already have red. Green and yellow. Stay away from orange too. Purple, I think I can do a purple. Purple and green, maybe? Because I've got different shades of green. And one more pairing. Maybe, maybe green and blue? I'm really leaning into the green, but it's opposite red, that's why. So let's say green and blue. So green and blue. All right, so there's our new poll. You guys can decide which one you like. And I will sketch that out for us so we can take a look at that on the table. So for example, that's pink and blue. So I'll just sketch these out here. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Pink and blue. This is really messy. Oh, I could have done that anyway. Idiot. Idiot! I'm going to do it anyway. Here we go. Okay. Really messy. So I said pink and blue, green and yellow. So, you know what? Let's use the darker green. Because I have different greens. So green. You guys get the idea. This is so messy, but... So green, I said, what all did I say here? So green and yellow. So let's make that one green and yellow. Because that's really, that kind of feels like John Deere, which is perfect for the farm. So green and yellow, pink and blue, purple and green. So let's go purple, there we go, purple and green. Could also be a lighter green. We'll pick those out of the actual felt stash when I get to it. All right. Sorry, gang. I shouldn't call myself an idiot. that's a I mean that in the most loving way to myself. It's just I get really carried away and excited, and I start speeding along, and I do silly things. So I'm trying not to. I also could do light blue and light green and dark blue. So I think I'll just use these two lighter colors for now. So there's my light green. So light green, you guys get the picture. You almost can't even see that, I don't think, on the camera. I'm thinking brighter colors would look good because this is a nice bright red barn, but there you go. So just to kind of give you an idea. Now I have to stitch this together. So brown goes into my little pack. I want this and this. And I'm using red. So I'm back to red. Did I have any red left over? I thought I did. No? All right, no big deal. Oh, I haven't even cut any yet. I really am getting ahead of myself today. Okay. So I'm gonna cut about a yard. Maybe I should take this off and rewind it so I don't make a complete mess of things. There we go. That's about enough. I will clean that up in a bit. Okay. Hey, Sakura Sue! Hello! Welcome, welcome! Sherry's here as well. Hello! Hi, guys! So glad to see you here. All right, so, I am at this point where I sandwich the little white roof detail in between the back and the front, because I've done all of the stitch detailing. I've sewn on the little extras. That can hide up in under there. I may or may not, you know what, I have just a little bit of stuffing left, so maybe I will put the stuffing in this little barn. And I'm going to start down here at the bottom corner. And this sits up pretty high, so let's get that into place. There, whole thing lines up very nicely. So I'm going to come in from between, so that you guys know this little trick. I hide that knot eventually on the inside, and then I start stitching all the way through. The nice thing about this kind of grabby felt, this stiff felt, is that it kind of stays. If you're holding it, you don't have to hold it too tightly. Things don't really want to shift around all that much, so that's nice. I've got my glue gun plugged in and ready to go, so as soon as I've got this stitched together, I will start snipping up other little bits of fabric for the barn quilt. So it looks like purple and green is winning. Purple and green, that'll be nice. That'll definitely stand out with the white frame against the bright red barn. All right, so I'm getting up to the first bit. I love this little detail of the white roof of the barn being kind of sandwiched in between. I think that's really cute. So it looks like this is where I start going through all three pieces. There we go. Did I get it? Yes, I got it. I find once you get the first couple of stitches through all of the pieces, the whole thing just kind of aligns itself up. So I won't need to add any stuffing until I get around to the bottom edge, and then I'll just put whatever's left. What have I got left here? Very little stuffing. That whole, like, I'll just spread that out on the inside just so the barn has a bit of poof. You know, you look at something and you think, gee, that's cute. I wonder if it'll actually look that cute in real life, because so many things these days aren't. You kind of go, oh, that looks so cute in the photos, and then like you get it and it's this terrible like AI printed version of something. It's just so refreshing to actually get something that looks as good in real life as it does on its photographs. It's terrible that that is now like not the norm. Yeah, looks nice around the back. So Destiny likes the idea of purple with light green, not dark green. Don't worry, don't worry. These are just marker representatives of the colors. I will pull out my actual felt and we'll decide what looks good with each other at that point. Because I've got light green, I also have dark green, and I think I've got I've also got not just purple, but I've got a lovely lilac that's almost closer to this kind of pinky purple, which might look really good with the green too. So we'll pick that together. Because it'll also look different when we hold it up against the barn. I think because the barn is this, I'm going to say orange red, so that means it's on the yellow, the kind of the more yellowy side of the color spectrum. It's going to look better with similar shades or hues, I suppose, of other felts. So I mean, like if I've got like a green, like the light green, if it's a yellow green, like a chartreuse, that might look really good because it'll have the same kind of hue, being kind of on the yellow side. It won't clash with it. And it's the same thing with the purple. If I've got a purple that's exactly opposite, so it's not a very red purple, it's more of a like a really cool purple, it might look really good. Opposite the red and then opposite the green. So I'll pull out those colors as soon as we figure out exactly which one is one, and we'll pick those because I have varying shades of the specific colors that I mentioned. So it won't look exactly like the picture, but it'll look darn close. And this is really, I like the back. The back is nice and plain. But the front is so cute. I just love it. I love how big it is too. Like that's me holding it up against my face. It's almost the size of my face. And then I'll put a little, I'm going to use up the rest of the stuffing that came with the pack today. I don't think do any of you have stuffing left over? Any of you who have finished the kit? Did you end up with any leftover stuffing? I know not all of you put stuffing in everything. I didn't put any stuffing in my trees. I kind of just liked them the way they were, flat, which is funny because you'd think that, you know, it would make the trees look a little fuller, but I didn't really feel I needed it. I'm going to put the stuffing in here, and if I don't like it, then I'll take it back out. And I've gotten 3/4 of the way around, so I'm going to stuff the barn now. But did any of you... Wendy's in the house! We got all these folks dropping in. This is great! It's probably my age, but I'm not a fan of AI, says Becky. I like AI as a tool. I don't like the way people are using it, which is, I think that's the way I want to look at it, because I like any tool. I just don't like the way some people use tools. I am about ready to scream at the Etsy platform, because the Etsy platform, I mean, I know Pinterest is full of AI created images, but I don't mind an AI created image if it's just a suggestion, like, hey, this would be a cool idea. Yeah, that's why you use the tool. I want to mock up something and I suck at drawing. So here, let me use the AI as a tool so I can kind of get across the idea I want. But on Etsy is now full of BS shops selling BS patterns. You know, it's like crochet patterns, sewing patterns, knitting patterns, embroidery patterns, all kinds of patterns that do not have any real photographs. They've used an AI generated photo and probably an AI generated pattern, and you can tell because it's got that like ridiculously perfect, like not really like lit properly image, or there's something a bit askew in the background. You can always tell an AI image. They look kind of like a hyper cartoon, a hyper realistic cartoon. And then all you have to do is read the reviews. If you look for the 3 stars and less, you can sort reviews on Etsy to give you the most recent, the most popular, but you can also sort to sort of see like each star rating. And if you look if you look at something you think, is that AI? But you're not sure, you have a few options. You can sort the star rating for 3 and under, and if you start seeing people going, this is clearly AI, there's pieces are missing, the photos don't match, there's, you know, it's half a pattern or whatever, then that'll just clear it up for you. You can also message the shop seller and say, hi, I really like the look of this pattern, but can you show me what it actually looks like when it's all sewn up, knit up, crocheted up, whatever, stitched together? And if they're like, oh no, that's what it looks like, then they're lying to you, and it may or may not even be like a real shop owner. But there's so much of it now, because I love to sew, but I don't necessarily make my own sewing patterns all that much, so I like to go buy other people's sewing patterns, because I want to learn to be a better seamstress, and I can do that much better using a sewing pattern. And I have bought a couple of sewing patterns from Etsy before, and they were excellent, but they were before this whole AI thing started. And the last few times I've been kind of looking at patterns, I thought, that doesn't look like a real photo. Sure enough, it's AI, and I read through the reviews and I get angrier and angrier, because sometimes the shop owner has the nerve to reply to people who are leaving a bad review going, this isn't a real pattern. This was not created by a real person. This is clearly AI. The photos are AI and they don't match the pattern. And they have the nerve to say things like, oh, you know, I'm sorry you had trouble using the pattern. And I'm like, that's so insulting. Not only did you lie by putting up a fake image, you didn't actually make this. You let a computer generated script create an image. You then sold somebody something, and you're not going to stand behind it. You're going to tell them they're the one with the problem. Oh, I get so hot just thinking about it. It makes me so mad. So sorry, I didn't mean to go off on it right there. But if any of you ever have a question about AI, please don't hesitate to pop into the shop and ask, because I feel like anything, there's people who use AI in the right way, and there's people who use AI in the wrong way, or in a dishonest way, a disingenuous way. Maybe that's a better word to use, because I love a new tool. I love new tools. But tools can be used the wrong way. They can be used for nefarious purposes, and they can be used for great purposes. So it's not the tool, it's the human being using the tool, and I get so mad. Yes. Etsy is overrun with AI garbage, says Jessica. It's so true, so true. Might you want the stuffing for any extra animals you make, says Shell. In regards to the stuffing, I have a lot of stuffing, so I'm not going to run out. I just thought it might be nice to use up the stuff that came in the kit, and then if I feel like I want to like if we end up making something else that I feel needs a little bit of stuffing, I've got plenty of stuffing. I've got scrap yarn, scrap fabric, real stuffing. I've got a pillow that I've been slowly nibbling away at. So I've got plenty of stuffing. But yes, if you don't, and that goes for any of you, you might want to hold some back, but it's really not a big deal. Yeah, some photos are too perfect when using AI, says Charlie. Yeah, you can tell. It's just got that weird, creepy perfection. It's called uncanny valley. Is that kind of the terminology? It's just kind of creepy. It's not real. It looks real at a glance, but then you realize it's not quite real. They call that the uncanny valley or something, I think. I think Mr. InStitches can correct me on that.
I'm not sure about that.
You're not sure?
I agree with Jessica Rabbit.
Destiny says, I don't like the abuse of AI. It can be a very useful tool. However, as many things, it's used for deceptive purposes. Exactly. Disingenuous purposes. Shell says, many patterns being sold are just stolen directly from free patterns as well. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on that. I've seen several Yarnspiration patterns being sold on Etsy. It's terrible. Etsy should use AI to stop it from happening. I've also seen patterns lifted right out of published magazines and books being sold. Like people are just buying patterns and books, running it through a copy machine, and then selling the copy of it. That is literally copyright infringement. People stealing other people's patterns and adding a border and going, there, it's a brand new port. Yeah, it drives me absolutely bonkers. I get so hot under the collar about it. Jessica Rabbit says, I am very literally at the point where I want to get offline 100%. I get too angry all the time. Jada is one of the reasons that I haven't chucked it all in. And yet another reason why we do this. So